and welcome back to Galactic Reviews. This week, I'm joined by Andrew and Payson. I'm Zach, and we're going over the Let There Be Carnage movie from the Venom series. I don't know how many Venom movies they're planning on doing, but I'm just gonna guess that they're planning on doing maybe one more, if anything. Because to me, Marvel seems to be doing a lot of continuations and trilogies. Let There Be Carnage is the sequel to Venom. What the base story is Eddie and Venom are going through a bit of a tough time with each other, and in that they meet, what was his name?
Cletus
Yeah,
Cassidy.
Cletus.
I was
Cletus
thinking
Cassidy.
Cassius Clay, but that's got to be something else.
I'm gonna say yes. Well, anyways, they meet Cletus Cassidy, who is on, well, he's not on death row, but he's pretty much close to it. So they meet him, they talk to him, find out where all of the dead bodies are that he's killed. And with that, they put him or give them the excuse that he can 100% be on death row now and be killed. They have found all the bodies. And with that comes the birth of Carnage. So with Carnage introduced, Carnage helps Cletus escape, hunts Venom and Eddie because both of them just want to kill Venom and Eddie. So, in a nutshell, it's just a hunting down movie to execute.
I would give Venom probably a 7 because I did really enjoy that one. This one I would give it a 6 as it was playing very much the same tune as the first Venom and it just wasn't as good storytelling wise. I would say there was one positive thing with this. I believe this is the first live action appearance of Carnage,
This is the
which
first live action of
which is the one
Carnage.
thing I was really excited about because Carnage is essentially like in is like Venom gone insane, at least in the comics.
Yes.
This one they kind of try to play a little bit more humane with Cletus Cassidy, and that's one of the problems I have with this.
I will give them both a 7. Just generally all around enjoyable movies. I liked the difference in dynamic that they took. Both were about the relationships essentially between Eddie and Venom, but just through different lenses, I guess, where the first one is them meeting and the second one is them learning to live with each other. So yeah, just both very enjoyable. I think what really made me enjoy it the most was just Venom's personality, just overall very funny, just very fun to watch and see their interactions. Yeah,
Yeah.
so both about on par as far as how much I like them.
Well, Venom to me, I will agree, was definitely a 7. I really enjoyed Venom. With Let There Be Carnage, I was really disappointed and I give it a 4.
Yeah, no, that's
So
understandable.
I'm disappointed because Carnage is one of my favorite Spider-Man supervillains.
I love how it's your favorite Spider-Man supervillain, yet you couldn't remember the guy's name.
He
Yeah,
only
but you
cares
couldn't.
about Venom.
Yeah, but you couldn't remember Cletus Cassidy, now could you?
I couldn't
He
remember
only
Peter
cares about the
Cassidy. I
symbiote.
only care about I only care about the symbiote. Well, then again, this Cletus Cassidy didn't feel like Cletus Cassidy.
No, it really didn't.
So all in all, to me, Carnage was a little let down, and we'll get into that in just a bit. So from here on out, there is spoiler alerts for Let There Be Carnage. For Venom, it's a 3-year-old movie. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it.
It's a good Venom without Spider-Man being in it, which I think is the main problem that I at least have with Venom, at least the first one, but it's still relatively good. So,
Yeah, more or less. One of my biggest complaints was the CGI for Venom. From Venom to Let There Be Carnage
hmm
seems to just get worse. That was a big letdown for me. The
hmm
CGI seemed to get worse for Venom. I understand they were kind of going for the older classic look with the white lines and everything, but it just seemed like they did a claymation, poured water over it so it looks like he's a little wet and glistens, and that was it. Didn't seem that good to me. It seemed like they kind of took a step back in the animation wise for Venom.
yeah, it's like they were rushed.
Through this whole movie, some of it, I feel like they did rush it a little bit. I know one of the scenes in particular was when Venom first met Carnage. He's like, "Oh snap, it's a red one." Doesn't go into details why a red one's bad. Just
Well,
says, "Oh,
no,
it's a red
yeah.
one." A red
Well,
one's extremely rare, and they just are bred to kill. They're the most, aren't they the most lethal symbiote?
I don't know that much into the Venom, like in like the symbiote lore.
Okay.
All I know is that Spider-Man was a big influence on the Venom symbiote, which then later went on to Eddie Brock, which that kind of helped form, and then Venom later went on to Flash Thompson, which helped out the symbiote a lot.
Well,
But in
I did
between,
I did research on Venom to figure out why Venom is the way he is, and
Mhm.
he's such an outcast. Venom was banished from, I don't know what his planet's name. I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I don't remember the symbiote's world, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
He was banished because he enjoyed keeping his host alive instead of killing them and moving on. And they didn't like that idea. So they banished him to what is it? Was it Battle World? It's where they like the galaxies trap the most deadly people, I believe. So they banished
Oh,
him there because of his ideals. And Venom is actually one of the original symbiotes. He is one of the oldest symbiotes, and he lived on Battle World. I think that's what it called. If I'm not, if it's not, let me know, please. He lived there for centuries until he managed to escape and make it to Earth, finally. And after that, he just would hop around from person to person until he found Spider-Man and then Eddie right afterwards. Eddie, I think, was his longest host in on Earth. I'm
yeah,
pretty sure.
Eddie was definitely his longest, but I think Flash was probably the one that had the most impact on him
Yeah.
because that
And
Agent
then
Venom run is thinking awesome.
yeah, and then Venom has six children, I believe. You have Carnage, which is the most well-known one. It was Lasher, Phage, Agony, and Riot fused together and formed Hybrid,
Oh yeah,
just
apparently.
specifically to kill Venom. Most
Oh
of
yeah,
actually, I think all but Scream just want to kill Venom because Venom is an original symbiote, so
mhm.
he has a lot of knowledge. So when they eat him and devour him, they'll gain most of his combat knowledge. And that's really because Venom is actually the weakest form of symbiote,
Oh yeah,
yet
the
he can go toe to toe with a general with a red one, which is Carnage, and come out sometimes on top, which all of the other symbiotes find terrible. So
That's due
I've
to
got the
like
list.
what his experience with like Spider-Man and then like the strength of his host
yeah, yeah.
combination of that.
Venom has found out that the host, if you can match with your host, you will grow stronger as a symbiote, which all of the other symbiotes see that as a weakness. So
Yeah.
he'll fuse and enhance his
Cool.
strength and his partner's strength.
So it's like steroids.
Pretty much. Pretty
Cool.
much.
I will say, the names of his symbiote children are Scream, Lasher, Phage, Agony, Riot, Mania, Sleeper, and Carnage. And the planet you were talking about, that the
Isn't it
symbiotes are
just
from, is Clintar.
a Clintar?
And I believe he's got a grandchild from
He has
Carnage named
three.
Toxin.
He
I know
has three. He
Toxin's
has
one.
Toxin, Scorn, and Raise.
I know Toxin's
Which
my favorite though.
Toxin is another red one. Scorn is purple, and Raise is pitch black.
Yeah, well,
And then
I mean, they kind of, yeah,
Hybrid is another red one.
they also kind of hinted at Toxin possibly
I
at the end
know
of this movie.
that's what I was like. You're gonna throw another red one, not explain why it's rare or anything. I will say what they did with his webs or whatever you want to call it. They did that really well for Venom. Banshee, I don't see why
You mean Shriek? I think that's her
Shriek.
name. I'm pretty sure
Is
Shriek
it
is her
Shriek?
name.
Okay.
Silver Banshee is from DC, but I don't know if that's what you're referring to or not.
Yes, it was. It was. I do and I don't see why she's necessary.
Well, I think she was mainly, well, I could care at this point right now. I know she's race changed. I right now that's not the main problem I have.
Yeah.
The main problem I have is I don't know why she was even there to begin with.
Because honestly, throughout the movie, she was kind of useless. The only, even when you thought she was going to be useful
Yeah.
and Venom was going to use her just to scream, no, he decided to throw her against the bell instead to make noise. And I'm like, well, you just wasted the whole reason this character existed in this movie. So honestly, I didn't see the point in having her except
hmm
just to have her and give a reason for Cletus to escape.
Yeah, I think it was more so a thing to humanize Cletus, which they didn't do that great.
Well, that and another problem I had was they even mentioned it at the end. Cletus and Carnage aren't compatible.
Which
Venom
is
and Eddie both said, look at them, they're not compatible. But that doesn't make sense because they're still able to fight to that full extent, which shouldn't be possible, proven in the first Venom movie that you have to be compatible to be able to fight like that. I understand he's a red one, but they don't explain anything about the red ones.
Yeah, that's the problem. They keep on breaking their own lore. I'm noticing that a lot
Well,
recently
they just,
with the
to me,
Marvel
in
movies.
this, the biggest thing, they didn't explain that much in this movie. They left a lot of holes. They would bring something up and then drop it.
See, they could have just expanded more
I
on the
know, well,
symbiote lore and the symbiote world, and actually gone in depth with that. Instead, they just focused on the stuff that they had already kind of comprised in the first movie.
which I'm okay with.
Well, yeah, if you
I mean,
build on it, but they also
it
just,
rolls right off of it. They just didn't do as much explaining as I wanted them to. Then again, as soon as the movie started, I was really confused, wondering was I watching the right movie? Because it starts and then you see whatever her name is.
yeah, Silver
I don't know
Banshee
why.
is DC.
I don't know why I want to say she's
And
Banshee.
I believe Banshee is actually an X-Men, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
He's
It is.
so
Yeah, it is. I don't know. It's just I know it's not Black Canary, and
yeah.
then I have Banshee, and then I always forget about Shriek. I'm like, just stick with one person with that ability. But that's besides the point. With Shriek, it starts out with her, and then you get to see Cletus, but it doesn't say anything until later. It doesn't mention it until it pulls up and it's the Venom screen. Let there be carnage. And that was a very lackluster intro title screen as well.
Hmm.
It felt like they didn't put a lot of effort into it like they did with Venom. To me, this whole movie kind of seemed toned down in a
Hmm.
way. I know they went from Venom being a rated R movie to Carnage being PG-13.
Which was very disappointing because it's Carnage. I would expect there to be a lot of freaking Carnage, and they toned that way down.
Carnage,
No,
I will say,
there was
quote
no
unquote,
blood,
lived up to his name. He did kill a lot, but there was no blood, no gore. He did
and the
eat,
blood that
and
you
he would.
saw on Cletus Cassidy was just the symbiote. That was what was the most disappointing thing in this movie, was that it's Carnage should be rated R just strictly because of violence, if anything else. If you want to keep it toned down, the only reason it's still Carnage. So I mean,
Yeah,
like I don't know why they chose to
and
do Carnage and
and
then
they kind of
decided PG
forced
13.
they kind of forced the whole idea of this is Carnage by saying by having Cletus Cassidy say multiple times, "Let there be carnage." He said that like 5 times before Carnage even arrived, and I'm like, okay, you're kind of forcing it at this point. We already know Carnage is gonna come.
Some of the line delivery wasn't as good as the first movie. Like it just wasn't as good
Yeah,
as it
some of
was.
the acting seemed a little bit off.
Yeah, and I know most of these actors and the actress have done recent decently well, at least because
hmm
I
I
know
think I just
Woody
think the
Harrelson
movie
can do
was a
really well.
little,
Tom
yeah, I
Hardy.
just think it was a little rushed. I don't know if they had a deadline or if they wanted to release it at a specific time, but I think if they gave themselves another month or two, I think they could have had a lot of better execution in this movie and maybe filled in some plot holes or just explain a little bit more.
It seemed like they were rushing for a sequel, especially after the first one came out, and
Yeah,
which is
which I understand, but I mean, take your time because Carnage, this is his first live appearance.
yeah,
And Carnage is a very specific type of character.
yeah. And to be fair, they also didn't do. Let's see, they also didn't do Riot and the rest of his children well because they were seen more as his brothers and sisters in the first film.
I was
To
about to
be
say in the
fair,
first one.
yeah, in the first film they were seen more as his brothers and sisters, and this was like
Yeah,
his first offspring. Which, if that
wait,
was the case, they were the children. But it doesn't explain.
yeah. I mean, it's because you only know so many symbiotes that they didn't. They still could have made some new ones and made an excuse, and people wouldn't have cared because you
Yeah.
only know I think 10 to 15 symbiotes, and they're most of them related to Venom, if not all of them. So they could have made their own and said, hey, this is a new one, blah, blah, blah. And
Hmm.
it would have been okay. I would have been okay with that. But yeah, the thing was, Venom is an outcast. He, his planet, he's an outcast. So how did they happen to capture Venom and bring him here? If they captured him from his planet, or no, it was from a meteor. There were only a few of them on the meteor.
Are you talking about the first one?
Yeah, in the first one. And if
See,
only a few of them and it was a specific team, why was Venom the weakest of the symbiotes and the most hated and despised on that team?
I don't know if it really explains. I haven't watched the
It
movie in a
it
while.
doesn't. That's another plot hole that they've kind of just I mean it doesn't matter,
Yeah,
but to fill in the lore of Venom in a way it kind of does. Venom is an outcast. He's hated by the rest of his brothers. So as soon as Venom met Riot in the first one, it should have been immediately they should have just fought each other because they just don't like each other. I'm not really sure. I understand it's a movie, they need their plot, so I'm okay with it for the most part, but having a little bit more explanation might.
yeah, that definitely would have been helpful if they had more explanation in it.
But I think the relationship Venom and Eddie to me in the second one sound like more of an old married couple, which I really enjoyed. I enjoyed honestly the just even in the first one the way they banter between each other and everything like that. Especially Venom with wanting to just eat everyone's head. And I'm like, that's technically what Venom and Carnage, all the symbiotes are. They just want to eat specifically people's brains and chocolate, which I'm glad they left that
Yeah, I'm
little
glad they included that, but they really didn't
funny
give,
tid.
and they gave like a one word off sentence that they
Yeah,
just
it's
quickly went
because
off.
they have I can't remember the word. Starts with an L, I'm pretty sure. Some sort of sustenance in the brain that is also in chocolate. And that's what they mostly feed off of. With the symbiotes, they feed off of each other. When there's not enough food, they'll eat each other to grow stronger and to fuse with each other. However, with Venom, he doesn't like to fuse with others. He just eats them for nourishment. He does not do it to get an upgrade or anything like that. And he doesn't actually get an upgrade. Actually, I'm pretty sure later on, because I forget what the reason was, he actually can possess another symbiote and control it as his host.
That is interesting.
I'm pretty sure that happened in one of them. People boil it down to because how old Venom is. He's one of the oldest living symbiotes, so he has a lot more knowledge in combat experience, how he can use his abilities and everything like that.
All right, so that way we can get Andrew a little bit of some talk time here. What did everybody think about the end credit scene? Or did everybody see the end credit scene?
The one with the cop, Miller's.
There's another one.
There was a second one.
So do you want me to say it?
Yes, I do.
All
What
right,
happened?
in this next one, there is a end credit scene where Venom is in a room, and then the time shifts, like in the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, and he wakes up in a somewhat different but the same room, and on the screen is J. Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man: Far From Home,
Yeah.
with that same talk about Spider-Man as Peter Parker. So officially, Venom is now part of the MCU.
Honestly, that was another thing I was gonna bring up. Where is Spider-Man in this whole thing with the battle between Carnage and Venom? You
Licensing
would think he would
disagreements,
just show up. I know, but let's be
licensing
honest.
issues. That's where
Um,
Spider-Man is.
yeah.
Well, all I'll say is if Venom is not also in the new Spider-Man movie, I will kind of be wondering why they even put that
No,
in. But
He's not.
no, I won't. It. I don't see him being in the next Spider-Man movie.
Mm-mm.
If they put him in, I don't see it turning out well, to be perfectly honest.
So
yeah,
there's talks between Sony and Marvel to eventually have Venom and Spider-Man be in a movie, but like there's nothing concrete as far as I know.
well, he's
Yeah.
officially now on the Earth that the MCU has taken place. So
But that
in all
destroys the purpose
technicality,
of
he
why
can
they
just
have
show up.
yeah, but that destroys the purpose of why they have Toxin shown up at the end of the movie.
I have no idea.
I didn't see them. I didn't
Toxin,
see them.
you know the policeman that
When
I
his
mean, I
Spider-Man
eyes
know
glow, when his eyes glow white,
yeah.
I
And
didn't
he
see the
said
after credit
there's
scenes.
you didn't
okay.
see any of them.
No, that's fine. So the policeman that the cop that she killed, his eyes glue white and said there's a new player. And then I'm pretty sure that's what he said. There's a new player or something like that. That was all that was said. Then it
Well, what
went
I will
back to
say,
her.
What I will say is there's also that possibility that Venom's not the only that Eddie Brock and Venom are not the only ones that came over during this whole flip-flop thing. Because I'm pretty sure this is due to the Doctor Strange
I
messing
was
with
gonna say
everything and
it could be due to Doctor Strange, but honestly, to me, they would have to explain that either in the next Venom movie or in like the next Doctor Strange or the next time you see Doctor Strange.
well, I mean, they're already supposedly having Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in the next Spider-Man movie with them as their Spider-Man from their universes or movie universes respectively.
Yeah, but if they do
As
that and then they bring in Venom, I'm gonna be like, first off, Tobey Maguire just killed Venom. So you're pretty much having him fight Venom all over again.
well, also
So,
that, and there's also supposed to be the Sinister Six, which is going to be like a ragtag of different, supposedly a
which
ragtag of different.
honestly, in a way, makes sense because the next movie with Andrew Garfield was supposed to introduce the Sinister Six. So honestly, if they do it like that, I could see it working, but I just don't know how they're going to do that and integrate Tom Holland's Peter Parker being revealed as Spider-Man working out, especially if they don't bring in Daredevil as his lawyer.
Well, I have no idea what they're even doing because they've said that he's in it and that he's not in it, and that it's just going to be
Yeah,
Matt Murdock that's in it and not
they've
Daredevil that's in it.
they've theoretically rewritten the script up to 3 times because every time they push back the movie, there's new leaks and new announcements saying this person's going to be in it, this person's no longer in it. So no one actually knows what to expect with the Spider-Man movie. I don't even think Marvel knows what they want to do with the movie, to be perfectly honest.
Which is not a good thing if that's the case.
It's really not. But honestly, if they bring in another symbiote, bring in Toxin in the next Venom movie, then they're really just progressing how fast they're introducing symbiotes. So it's been roughly 1 year in the Venom movie timeline from when and Venom landed on Earth and Eddie lost his job and with the end of Carnage. It's been roughly 1 year and they've already killed off one symbiote, Venom. Venom had a child, Carnage, and then immediately afterwards, after roughly not even 24 hours of Carnage being alive, he had an offspring, Toxin. So I just feel like they're kind of rushing.
I have no idea what they're doing now. I really don't.
I don't know.
Because
Carnage has always been an enjoyable character because he's so
he's
chaotic.
so, yeah, he's
And
so
in this
crazy and
movie
chaotic.
he was a bit too methodical
He
and
was
had a lot of restraint.
yeah, he was too predictable and also tried to make too much humane, if that makes sense.
Well, that and like you get to see him use a fraction of Carnage's power. I understand he's only been alive for 24, 48 hours, but still, he has every weapon possible that a symbiote can have.
After Zach's long talk, anything from you, Andrew?
Well, this was my movie choice, so I deserve to talk about it.
I
So
nominate Eddie Brock for the Kronk Award.
Eddie
yeah,
or Venom? I don't know. They both,
Both.
to me, both of them, especially when they're together.
yeah,
Yes.
Um, when
no,
they're
definitely good.
together,
The scene where he's like trying to win back the girl and she's just like, nah, I'm engaged. And Venom's just like, cry, do it.
yes,
He'll
that
love
one,
it.
that one, or when he has to apologize to Venom and the girl, and it's at some points it sounds like he's apologizing to both of them, and he's like, I don't know, do it again.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, Eddie and Carnage together, their dialogue
you need
back and
any
forth.
in Venom, not any in Carnage.
Thanks, Eddie and Venom. Goodness gracious, their dialogue back and forth definitely is the Kronk of this movie.
I enjoyed it just because I got Venom with the personality. Because before my only media interactions with Venom were just from like the Amazing Spider-Man
Mhm.
shows and everything, where it's just like, Spider-Man, I'm gonna kill you this time. That was really it. So it was fun seeing Venom with an actual personality, and I liked seeing him pegged as the loser, but also had a sense of humor, looking at just also being a coward. So I liked seeing that aspect
And
and
honestly,
having to like
that's how he stays alive, and it works for him.
before I never said it's just Spider-Man, I'm gonna get you. But this was like he's got stuff you can't even believe. Or just like, oh shoot, it's red one. Go bye. We're gone.
Yeah, I'll let you eat their heads. Oh, okay.
I'll
If
let you
that's on
eat
the table, I'm in.
everyone. Really? Yeah.
Except for the priest.
Mask on, Roger.
Yeah, the banter between the two I really enjoyed.
See, the only thing I knew about this movie going into it was that a lot of the major kind of like news places that like reported on it, NPR, referred to it as a love story between Eddie and Venom.
Yeah, I can see that. Thank you everyone for watching. That's the end of this week's Venom and Let There Be Carnage. And next week, we'll be watching Daniel Craig's final James Bond movie, No Time to Die. So tune in for that.